Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Daily Revelations. So, this morning, did my Bible study, did my workout, took my dog for a walk, and as I was walking my dog, well, my dog makes a mess. So, as I was picking up my dog's poop, this woman walked by and said, "You are such a good person." And if I hadn't been in that situation, I would have followed her and given her a sermon, because the truth is, I'm not a good person. And I'm not a good person because of the actions I do. And unfortunately, that's the way that our world thinks, is that when people do good things, that they inherently must be good inside. And if we can generate enough of this goodness in us, then we must be good. The problem is, this tells us we are sinful. And when we live in truth, we are reminded of that constantly. And, as a new Christian or even as an unbeliever, I would have gotten greatly prideful by that comment of this woman. But as she walked away, and I'm still cleaning up after my dog, it made me sad. It made me sad to think that this striving, this pressure that we have on us in this life is so overwhelming, because we want to be good. We want to be on that other side of not being bad. But if we can live in the truth of everything that wars within me, and Scripture tells us this over and over again, is not for good. It's to please my own self. It's to do things that don't serve God. And that's that sin nature in me. But there's a solution, and it does not come from within me at all. It comes from God being in me. And so, as I finished picking up after my dog, I had this, I'm conversing with God all the time. Don't say it out loud often, although sometimes I do. And just thanking him for how much he has changed my heart to desire to please him and to live in his goodness versus that of the world, and how the world can so skew that idea of good. My biblical theology class is taking a break, so I'm doing some other delving into Bible study during that 3-week break. And the one thing that I pulled out this morning is this book, Jesus Calling, is what I'm going to be doing as a Bible study with my daughter. I'm still homeschooling one. And my goal for her this year, we talk about goals a lot of times in my organization, but for her is to cultivate her own personal relationship with God. And I've struggled with that in trying to get that onto her, because there's a lot of things she really likes me to do with her. And so this was a solution, because it's a devotion, but it's based on Scripture, and it allows her to do the Scripture. And there was a companion journal that went with it. And I thought, good, she'll have her own quiet time. I'll do this Bible study as well. And then we'll come together and we'll share, and we'll let that sharpen both of us. And so the scriptures that were before me today, I think, are really good to speak to this idea of goodness and where that comes from. And also, how do we draw on that versus our natural inclination to do and do more to be good. So the first scripture is from Isaiah 40:31, and it says, "Yet those who wait on the Lord," don't you love that, "will gain new strength. They will mount up with wings like eagles. They will run and not get tired. They will walk and not be weary." When I usually read that verse, the things that have always popped out at me was the tired and the weary, because I was always tired and weary from trying to do things on my own. And yet God has moved me, as I've grown closer to him, to the waiting, to the allowing of that strength to come, and then to that acting as soon as he says go. And so I wrote under that, wait but act. And there's where the goodness comes. It's not because I'm striving, I'm tired, I'm weary, and therefore I must be a good Christian. It's I'm sitting and resting in God, and I'm waiting on him, and I'm allowing his plan to unfold before me, and watching and in awe of what he's doing, because it's something I couldn't do. And then when he says, take now what I've given you and run with it, I can, because I'm not tired and weary. The second scripture was from Psalms, and it's Psalms 27:4. That says, the one thing I have asked from the Lord that I shall seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to meditate in his temple. Now, again, I have always looked at the scripture and focused on the second part. The thing that popped out to me today was the one thing I've asked for. What do we ask for? Or do we just go and forget to ask, and forget that whatever is good that's going to come in our life is going to come from God? It's not going to come from me. And so the thing that I wrote under this one was ask and then enjoy. Because when God gives, do we find joy in it, or do we just go, oh yeah, thanks God, and move on to the next thing, or not thank him at all? Just, wow, that's great. And then keep on going. But to really dwell, that's what it says, to behold, to dwell, and to meditate within what God has given us that is good. And finally, the last verse comes from Philippians 4, and it's Philippians 4:8. You probably know this one. Finally, brethren, whatever is pure, whatever is honorable, whatever is right, whatever is lovely, whatever is of good repute, if anything is worthy of praise, dwell on these things. We need to seek them out. We need to be looking, and then we need to dwell on them. And there's where the goodness comes. It's God's goodness. It's not mine. I inherently am not a good person. That woman that walked by me this morning doesn't know that. She doesn't know the truth of the God that's in me. And I wished I wouldn't have been picking up dog poop when she passed by, because that didn't allow me to be able to say anything to her. But maybe she wasn't in a place where she could receive that at that time. So it was a message that I had for you instead. So just know, yes, we do good things, but it's not because we're trying to do them to show that we are good inside. That's just a lost point. Do them because it's this inherent dwelling, enjoyment of what God has given me. Yes, he's given me a dog. So this comes along with the territory. And the joy of knowing that, you know what, my neighbors won't be walking over my dog poop when they're picking up after theirs, hopefully. But and I walk through the minefield of theirs. But do I do it? Why? Because God is my joy, and he has given me things, and I appreciate them, and I appreciate the people around me, and I just want to live in that love. And it has nothing to do with trying to prove that I'm good. No, that's a lost point. So just know that you just need to seek out God. Again, wait on him, then act. Ask, then enjoy. And finally, seek and dwell. That's where God's goodness is. That's when we are able to show God's goodness to the world. Not because of this long to-do list of things that we think will make us look good to others. And God will get the glory in the end. And that's even the best part. So thanks for joining me on Daily Revelations. And I will see you again next time. Bye, everybody.